You've worked hard to earn and save. Now it's time to make your money work hard for you. This is Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida of A Better Way Financial.
And I'm Head to Branch here with Frank and Frankie talking about ways to help you better prepare for your financial future. Our website, abetterwayfinancial.com, is where to start the conversation about your own retirement savings plans. You can also click on the links we've got posted in the show notes, or again, it's abetterwayfinancial.com. Of course, every week on the radio, we talk about all the different things you guys are doing, workshops, we've got the podcast. Frankie wrote the book on retirement, a better way to stretch your retirement dollars while living the lifestyle of your dreams. Education, education, education is the name of the game when it comes to the work that you do and the folks that you work with, empowering them with knowledge. But the thing about the stock market is none of us really know which way we may or may not be headed. Still, it has been red hot lately. And yet so many folks are wondering, is it the best place for us to be putting our money? This is the question that Yahoo Finance posed to hedge fund investment officer Karen Carnile-Tambor.
So I think there's a lot of reason to believe that the stock market has room to run, and that the most negative aspect is, valuations have gotten somewhat stretched, but not that stretched. In the most stretched corners of the market, when you look at things like AI, valuations have gone up somewhat, but also to a large extent have kept up with actual earnings increases. On the other hand, what you can't ignore is that people's exposure to the stock market today is radically different than normal. People are very, very exposed to the stock market. So almost any portfolio I look at, what you see is that almost any source of diversification people used to have has really eroded because you've had such a run.
This bull run we've been on is historic. We have the FOMO, guys. So how are you helping folks in the office, your clients, stay diversified when market conditions are unpredictable? But meanwhile, the stock market continues to soar.
We see this all the time. It's going to be the best year in the market ever. And those people claim to never be wrong. And then we also hear the claim, oh my goodness, it's going to be a horrible year for the market. And those people claim to never be wrong.
Right, right.
We don't do things like try to predict the market. Trying to predict what the market is going to do is a losing battle. I mean, you look at mutual fund managers. These guys are supposed to know the markets inside and out, right? But 85% of them can't beat the benchmark. Can't beat the S&P 500. 85% of the time, they don't beat it. So why would we listen to people who are trying to predict the market? It makes no sense whatsoever. When we look at things, we say, look, this retirement thing, this can be a 20 or 30-year thing. Let's look at, over the long run, what has performed really well. And guess what? Over the long run, the stock market has been the best performing pure investment. I often talk to folks about, some people say, well, what about real estate? Real estate has done very, very well. But, the truth is, and I always ask people in my audiences, how do you feel about, who here owns investment properties? We always invariably get some hands go up. And what we say to them is, will you agree with me that real estate is not really a pure investment? It's a business. You have to work it. You have to, find the right people to come in. You have to make sure that the place is done right and that it's all fixed up, and who can mess it up, and the plumbing goes bad, and you got to do. There's a whole business there. It's not a pure investment where you can just put your money into it, forget about it, and let it go. So when we look at the best returns over the long run, it has been the stock market. But there are problems with the stock market, right, Frankie?
Well, maybe you don't want to take all of the risk with the stock market either, and you want to be diversified. You want to have your portfolio in a position where you're not taking all of the risk of an individual stock or of the stock market itself. So it is important when you do set up a stock market portfolio that you have some diversification in there. You're not picking just a certain sector of tech stocks or just a certain sector of investments in general. You want to be able to be diversified across different sectors, across different types of investments, so that if something happens to a specific sector or to a specific company, you're not at risk of losing more than you feel comfortable with. Right. So you do want to have that diversification within the stock market itself, but you also want to have the diversification of not having all of your eggs in the stock market basket and having it diversified in a way that when the stock market goes down, you have another pot of money that you can take that income out of that doesn't go down, that has some protections in place. And that's what we do when we meet with our clients. We talk about what is the investment allocation you want to have? What portion of your portfolio do you want to have in a position where it has the stock market type growth? And what portion of the portfolio do you want to have in a position of safety where it doesn't go down when the stock market goes down? And we set up that portfolio according to their personalized risk tolerance, finding out what is your risk tolerance? What is the maximum you can afford to see your portfolio go down? Because if you feel I don't want to ever go down more than 25%, well, then you really shouldn't have more than half of your funds in the stock market itself, because the stock market could go down 50%. And we've seen that happen in the past. Right. And it's evident that it could happen again in the future. So you want to make sure that if that's the case, at least half of your portfolio doesn't carry any stock market risk. So we design the portfolio with that in mind, with your personalized risk tolerance. And if you haven't had your personalized risk tolerance evaluated for maybe a few years now, maybe it's been 5-10 years, and you're still growing that money and you're thinking, well, maybe as I get closer to retirement, I don't want to have the same level of risk that I had in my 20s, my 30s, and my 40s. I should really get to know what is my personal risk tolerance, and does my portfolio align with my risk tolerance? And what we can do is we can do a complementary risk and return analysis where we'll review what is your current portfolio, what is the level of risk associated with it, what are the returns that you're able to get with that, and then design a portfolio with your risk tolerance, your personalized risk tolerance in mind, to make sure that you're not in a position where you're going down more than you feel comfortable with. Designing that portfolio, letting you know what the risk and returns of that would be as well. So,
and you know, Heather, we had a couple come in. They were 60 and 61 years old. He was still working for a major pharmaceutical company, and she was a retired teacher. They had 3 kids and 2 grandchildren.
Aww.
And these kids and their grandchildren were, you know, they were everything to this couple.
Sure.
They loved them so much. They wanted to spend time with them. They wanted to travel with them. They had a pretty nice sized portfolio. It was $1.8 million, you know, and they wanted to give some of these funds to their kids, to the grandchildren. They wanted to pass on their legacy in a really, really special way, you know. And when we sat there and we looked at their portfolio, we were like, wow, you know, it's kind of weird because they had a pretty high-risk portfolio. They had a lot of, you know, market investments in there, but they weren't averaging a very good return. They were only, you know, if we looked at that same portfolio from the year 2000, January 2000 till now, that portfolio would have averaged just 5.7%. And, you know, pretty high drawdown. You know, if the stock market got crashed, this portfolio was going to get hit pretty hard too. So it wasn't performing well. On top of that, it had a ton of variable annuities in it. You know, when you look at variable annuities, you know, almost always you're talking about very, very high cost portfolios, and their internal rates were really, really bad. So, you know, we showed them what would we do if we were them, and we showed them a more moderate risk portfolio, showed them how to get the type of returns that they wanted to get. And in fact, they were averaging 5.7 in a high risk portfolio. We showed them a moderate risk portfolio would have averaged 8.3%.
Really?
From the year 2000.
Yeah.
And you know the kicker? $8,100 a year in fees they would save.
Really?
Tremendous savings.
Wow.
Yeah, so not only showing them how to keep their portfolio within their risk tolerance and get a significantly better return since the year 2000, but also showing them that they could do it for less money than they were currently paying for their portfolio.
Yeah.
So setting up a portfolio in a way that you don't lose more money than you feel comfortable with while figuring out what you're paying. A lot of people don't even know what you're paying, and then showing you how much you could potentially save in fees over the course of your lifetime. With this type of planning, it can make a huge difference. They were planning to live on about $92,000 of income per year, and we were able to show them how they could get that up to $152,000 of income per year, $60,000 more each year to enjoy and gift with their kids.
Wow.
Spend it how they want in their retirement. So this type of planning can make a huge difference. And if you're 55 and older and you save $500,000 or more for your retirement, give us a call to find out what kind of planning we can do for you. Learn about what type of analysis we can do for your portfolio, and find out how much income you can take out over the course of your retirement so that you don't have to worry about where that next paycheck is going to come from when you switch over to retirement. Or if you're already retired, you have a designed income plan where we're going over where you can get that income in your retirement. So if you don't know how much income you're going to be able to live on, or if you don't know what strategies you can use to minimize some of that portfolio risk while getting the most out of it over the course of your retirement, we're going to be able to do that analysis for you. All you have to do is go to abetterwayfinancial.com and click on the sign up now button, and we'll begin to have this conversation with you.
You can also click on the links we've got posted in the show notes to head to our website, which is, again, abetterwayfinancial.com.
Thanks for listening to Empower Your Retirement with Frank and Frankie Guida. To learn more, visit abetterwayfinancial.com.
By contacting us, we'll review aspects of your retirement portfolio to include suggestions about how best to utilize estate, tax, and retirement planning strategies and other financial services, or if changing management styles is appropriate for your specific needs and objectives. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendations to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate, and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. A Better Way Financial is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client, and they are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. Advisory services offered through A Better Way Financial. Insurance offered through licensed professionals at A Better Way Financial. Pennsylvania Insurance License number 301779.